In humans, two systems, the nervous and endocrine, communicate with neurotransmitters and hormones. This chapter is about the endocrine system, chemical identity, how they were made and transported, how they were produced, effects on the target cells. The endocrine system is involved in adaptation to stress. There are many pathologies that result from the endocrine dysfunctions. An overview. The body has mechanisms of communication between cells. A few of them are gap junctions, which are pores in cell membranes allowing signal molecules, nutrients, and electrolytes to move from cell to cell. Neurotransmitters release the neurons to travel across the synaptic cleft to second cell. Autocrine chemicals released by cells and have a local effect on the same cell type. Paracrine hormones secreted into tissue fluids to affect nearby cells. Hormones, chemical messengers that travel in the bloodstream to other tissues and organs. Pheromones, chemical messengers that travel in the air to affect a different individual. Endocrine system. Glands, tissues, and cells that secrete hormones. Exocrine, go into ducts, are the opposing system. Endocrinology is the study of the system and the diagnosis and treatment of its disorders. Endocrine glands, organs that are traditional sources of hormones. Hormones, chemical messengers that are transported by the bloodstream and stimulate the physiological responses in cells of other tissues or organs, often a considerable distance away. Comparison of the nervous and endocrine systems. Both serve for internal communication. Nervous, both electrical and chemical. Endocrine, only chemical. Speed and persistence of response. Nervous reacts quickly, 1 to 2 milliseconds, stops quickly. Endocrine reacts slowly, hormones released in seconds or days. Effects may continue for weeks. Adaptation to long stimulus. Nervous response declines, adapts quickly. Endocrine response persists, adapts slowly. Area of effect. Nervous target in a specific one organ. Endocrine, general, widespread effects, many organs. The major organs that are involved is pineal gland, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, thymus, trachea, adrenal glands, pancreas, ovaries, or testes. Continuing on the comparison of the nervous and endocrine system. Several chemicals functions as both hormones and neurotransmitters. Norepinephrine, cholecytosine, thyrotropin releasing hormone, dopamine, and antidiuretic hormone. Some hormones secreted by neuroendocrine cells, neurons that release their secretion into the bloodstream, oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone. Both systems with overlapping effects on same target cells. Norepinephrine and glucagon cause glycogen hydrolysis in liver. Systems regulate each other. Neurons trigger hormone secretions. Hormones stimulate or inhibit neurons. Target organs or cells. Those organs or cells that have receptors for the hormone and can respond to it. Hypothalamus and pituitary anatomy. The hypothalamus is shaped in a flattened funnel, forms floor and walls of the third ventricle of the brain, regulates primitive functions of the body from water balance and thermoregulation to sex drive and childbirth. Many of its functions carried out by the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland, hypophysis is another word, is suspended by the hypothalamus by a stalk, the infundibulum. Location and size, housed in the sella tertia of the sigmoid bone. Size and shape is of a kidney bean. Composed of two structures with independent origins and separate functions. The adenohypophysis anterior pituitary and the neurohypophysis is posterior pituitary. The adenohypophysis constitutes the anterior 3/4 of pituitary, linked to the hypothalamus by hypophyseal portal system. Primary capillaries in the hypothalamus connect to the secondary capillaries in the adenohypophysis by portal venules. Hypothalamic hormones regulate adenohypophyseal cells. Neurohypophysis constitutes the posterior one quarter of the pituitary. Nerve tissue is not a true gland. Nerve cell bodies in the hypothalamus pass down the stalk as a hypophyseal tract and end in the posterior lobe. Hypothalamic neurons secrete hormones that are stored in the neurohypophyseal until released into blood. The hypothalamic releasing and inhibiting hormones travel in the hypophyseal portal system from the hypothalamus to the anterior pituitary. Hormones secreted by the anterior pituitary. Hypothalamic hormones. 8 hormones produced by the hypothalamus. 6 regulate the anterior pituitary. 2 are made by the hypothalamus and released from the posterior pituitary. 6 releasing and inhibiting hormones stimulate or inhibit the anterior pituitary. They are the thyroid releasing hormone, the corticotrophin or cortex releasing hormone, the gonadotrophin releasing hormone, and the growth hormone releasing hormone are releasing hormones that are affected by the anterior pituitary secretion of the thyroid stimulation hormone. I'll have the full names for these all. I think this is prolactin, the ACTH, the follicle stimulating hormone, the luteinizing hormone, and the growth hormone. The pituitary, the PIH, not sure exactly what it stands for, inhibits secretion of the prolactin, and the somatostatin, the GHIH, inhibits secretion growth hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone by the anterior pituitary. 2 other hypothalamic hormones are oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone, both stored and released by the posterior pituitary, and the posterior pituitary does not synthesize them. The 6 anterior pituitary hormones. 2 gonadotropin hormones that are target gonads. That's just an underscore, that's not part of them. The follicle stimulating hormone stimulates secretion of the ovarian sex hormones, development of the ovarian follicles, and sperm production. Luteinizing hormone stimulates ovulation, stimulates corpus luteum to secrete progesterone, stimulates testes to secrete testosterone. Thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates secretion of thyroid hormone. Adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulates adrenal cortex to secrete glucocorticoids, which I think is cortisol. Prolactin, after birth, stimulates mammary glands to synthesize milk, enhance secretion of testosterone by testes. Growth hormone stimulates tissue growth in bone, cartilage, muscle, and fat. Principal hormones and target organs. 2 posterior hormones produced in hypothalamus, transported by the hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract to posterior lobe, releases hormones when hypothalamic neurons are stimulated. Posterior pituitary hormones. Antidiuretic hormone is at the kidneys and increases water retention, thus reducing urine volume and prevents dehydration. Also called vasopressin because it can cause vasoconstriction, Alcohol suppresses the secretion of ADH, thus excessive urination. Diabetes insipidus doesn't have to do with insulin. Disorder that caused by the hyposecretion of the ADH. Oxytocin stimulates labor contractions during childbirth, stimulates flow of milk during lactation, promotes emotional bonding between lactating mother and infant, surge of hormone release during sexual arousal and orgasm in males and females, stimulate uterine contractions and propulsion of semen, promotes feelings of sexual satisfaction and emotional bonding between partners at uterus and mammary glands. Control of pituitary secretion. Negative feedback, so temperature and blood pressure, increase the target organ hormone levels, inhibit release of hormones. Positive feedback, labor and blood clotting. Stretching of uterus increases the oxytocin release, causes contractions, causing more stretching of the uterus, etc., until delivery. Homeostasis maintains at a set point. A further look into the growth hormone. Growth hormone has a wide spread of effects on body tissues, especially cartilage, bone, muscle, and fat. Induces liver to produce growth stimulus. Insulin-like growth factors, or somatovidins. Protein synthesis increasing. Boosts transcription of DNA, amino acid uptake into cells, suppresses protein catabolism. Lipid metabolism increase, which provides energy for growing tissues. Carbohydrate metabolism, glucose-sparing effect, mobilizes fatty acids, reduces the dependence of the most cells on glucose. Electrolyte balance promotes sodium, calcium, that's not calcium, I think it's chlorine, so promotes sodium, potassium, and chlorine retention by kidneys, enhances the calcium absorption in the testes.